How's it going, everybody? Wayne here. Today we have a bunch more games and boxes we'll be adding to the collection. Let's check them out. So anytime you go to a yard sale or garage sale, you always hope to catch that one person slipping, selling games for a lot less than what they need to be sold for, or what they usually go for. And as I got this lot of games in the mail, I'm looking through them and I was thinking, man, I was once that guy. I had just got a PlayStation 2 and I was like, well, I guess I don't need this N64 anymore. And I took my N64 along with Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, 1080, Wipeout, and I put it all in the yard sale for 20 bucks. And it wasn't long before some old guy came by and was like, oh cool, how much for the N64? 20 bucks? Alright. I was like, wow, he didn't even talk me down. So this lot of 7 games cost me $73 shipped. And one of those games is Super Mario 64 complete in box. Now, that's almost the asking price that this game goes for alone. It's $60 to $75 complete in box. So to get the entire lot for $73 was pretty good. So let's check this out. Super Mario 64 was developed and published by Nintendo. Real shocking news there. It was a launch title for the N64 and released in September of 1996 in North America. I could sit here all day and tell you how great of a game this is, but you probably already know because it was one of the best-selling games on the system, selling over 11 million copies. I played the crap out of this game growing up. A crap ton of the game when it came out on the DS, and I still pop it in today. There's nothing I can tell you about this game that you don't already know. Except for maybe the fact that it released on the Chinese N64, the IQ, in 2003. And Super Mario 64 is game number 40 for the collection. Next up we have Ridge Racer 64, and at first glance the front of this box looks like some smoking hot chick on there, but then you get closer and closer and you look at that face, you're like, oh, butterface. Ridge Racer 64 was another game developed and published by Nintendo and released for the N64 in 2000. Ridge Racer on the N64 had an exclusive 4-player mode that other Ridge Racer games didn't offer. You could choose from 4 different cars and race on 9 different tracks, although some of the tracks were just mirrored and reconfigured. The graphics are surprisingly good for an N64 racer. You can actually see what's up ahead of you. The controls are tight, but it features a really weird power drift feature that takes some time getting used to. Ridge Racer is a decent car game on the system. For me, it doesn't have the replayability as some of the others. And with the game's box art, you'd expect some sort of lady starting or ending the race, but all you see is the same girl on the billboards throughout the game. How disappointing. And Ridge Racer 64 is game number 41 for the collection. Next up, we have Duke Nukem 64. Duke Nukem 64 was published by GT Interactive and released for the N64 in 1997. Duke Nukem 64 is a first-person shooter. Like Turok, you use the C buttons to control the character. You start out with a pistol. As you progress through the levels, you take out aliens and you can find upgraded weapons, including machine guns, grenade launchers, missile launchers, and plasma cannons. Compared to the PC version, the N64 version was far less explicit. Despite that, Duke Nukem is still a fun game, and one I'll play again at a later date. And Duke Nukem puts us up to 42 games for the complete in box N64 library. Next up, a wrestling game, WCW vs NWO World Tour. WCW vs NWO World Tour. WCW vs NWO World Tour was published by THQ and released for the N64 in 1997. WCW vs NWO World Tour is the second wrestling game in the collection. The first was WCW NWO Revenge. You can clearly see the difference in graphics and gameplay between the two games. WCW vs NWO World Tour is fun despite the graphics and controls not being as crisp as they were in WCW NWO Revenge. And WCW vs NWO World Tour is game number 43 in the collection. Here we have our first baseball game, bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the Ninth was developed and published by Konami and released for the N64 in 1996. This game used real baseball player names in the game. However, it didn't have the actual licensed Major League Baseball team names. So when you chose a team like Cincinnati, you wouldn't be the Cincinnati Reds. For a sports game, this is one of the harder to find and in good condition complete in box. It seems like that's slowly becoming a known fact as prices for this game complete in box are now reaching $40 to $50. So again, to find this entire lot for only $73 shipped with Mario in this game, those two alone would have been worth it. If you need to get this game complete in box for your collection, try to find it in a lot. It's often passed up as just a common baseball game. And bottom of the ninth is game number 44 for the library. Next up we have one of my personal favorite games for the collection, 1080 Snowboarding. 1080 Snowboarding is another game developed and published by Nintendo and released for the N64 in 1998. I've heard many say this game hasn't held up well, and I'm thinking, what did you do, start with Xbox One and try to play it? This isn't only nostalgia talking. This game has excellent controls, good graphics, and it has a ton of replayability. You could race down the mountains with your friends or challenge your friends for points on the half pipe. I consistently play this game even till this day. I remember when I first got this game and I tried to do every trick in the tutorial. I was so ecstatic when I actually accomplished my first 1080. This is an excellent game, and for me, it's a must-own. The only downfall of the game is how short it is. But if I wasn't going for the full set, you bet this game would still be in my collection. And 1080 is game number 45 for the complete in box library. The last game in the lot was a duplicate, but I was missing the manual in my personal copy, and that game was Cruisin' World. So now I have the manual for Cruisin' the World. Yeah, yeah. Finally, I won another lot of just boxes for $56 shipped, and those boxes were Mario Kart 64, Mario Golf box and manual, Blast Corps, Duke Nukem 0 Hour, War Gods, which is a duplicate, and a second copy of Mario 64. And that's what we're adding to the collection today, so let's get these games on the shelf. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe. I'll be collecting the entire complete in box N64 library right here on the show. Also make sure to leave a thumbs up if you like to catch people slipping. Until next time, I'm Wayne, and thanks for watching.